Howdy, Coach. Welcome
Howdy.
to the Zoom. You
Glad to be
want
with
to start us off with an opening statement?
Team worked very hard in the off week, evaluating film from Mississippi State. Great, again, like I said, win on the road, but had a lot of fundamental work we worked on last week, just getting better in drills and working a lot of our younger players, keep developing more depth on our team, and also worked on future opponents and some of Arkansas and other future opponents, things in which teams do, which we implemented some schemes to, at least when the guys see it for the first time during game week down the stretch, it won't be totally new, which helps in your retention and learning things. So we worked on future opponents, worked on Arkansas, and also worked on ourselves, which was a big part of the off week, and trying to develop our older guys to clean things up and our young guys to keep developing. So had a good, hard week. Guys practiced very hard. Questions?
We started with Gabe Bach from TexAgs.com.
Hey, Jimbo, when you study Arkansas under the new regime, what areas do they appear to be the most improved on tape?
I think they compete extremely hard. I think they play well together as a team, offense, defense. They complement each other, special teams. They're creating a lot of turnovers on defense. I believe they've created 13, if I'm not mistaken, taking advantage of those, advantages in some special team areas, and have been very opportunistic as a football team and play extremely hard, physical, very well coached, and play together extremely well.
Let's go to Brent Zorman from the Houston Chronicle.
Coach, a lot of younger Aggies might not even remember this game being played anywhere but Arlington. Do you like it being on campus, or do you have a preference there in terms of?
We'll find out. No,
right?
I mean, it's great. Anytime you play in Kyle Field is great. We want to play in Kyle Field, but it was a good opportunity too sometimes that you went up to Arkansas and played in front of your home fans. I mean, he had a great venue. It wasn't like that was a bad venue. So, I mean, but anytime you can play in Kyle Field, that's a great thing. And we'll try to take advantage of that this weekend and what we do. But and it was one of the unique things of having a rivalry in between, and you have those things. And sometimes that's good for your team. Like if you play bowl games, learn to play neutral site games and things like that. It's almost not, it's not a home game or it's not an away game. But at the same time, again, I keep going back. When you can play here at home, it's a great thing.
You have any prior relationship with Sam Pittman? And he's a pretty neat story in terms of the way he's grinded away through his career and really got a good opportunity.
Yeah, I've known of Sam for a long time. He's a very good offensive line coach, very good football coach. I've talked to him quite often in different times in his career and bumped into him. I mean, I'm not I wouldn't say a close personal friend, but I communicate with him and have a lot of respect for him and think he did a heck of a job as a line coach, and now he's doing a very good job as a head coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to Brian Peroni from Gig'em 247.
Hey, Coach. All of a sudden, we have more Aggie fans reading our stuff from Australia because you guys got a punter from there. Can you walk us through how did Nick end up on the team? Did y'all see him? Did you ever see him in person? And how has he sort of adjusted to, I guess, American football?
Yeah, we had contact with people in Australia, and we have people different, all over the country. We've had Bjorn Warner one time when I was at Florida State. He was from Germany, then was an exchange student over here at a prep school and ended up being a first-round draft pick for us at Florida State. So you have connections of people all the way across the world, everywhere. We had people on our staff who knew guys over there, and we knew people in Australia, and they sent some tapes. They just said, "Hey, we knew we were in the hunt for a punter." That's a popular thing because Australia is producing a lot of punters and kickers right now, and reaching out to our connections over there, and they sent film and video. And we liked him, and then people in which we knew we trusted extremely well because we had dealt with before and had great relationships with, and guys who knew what Division I big-time punters are, then guys that could play in the league, and it went from there.
So I know he showed up, a little late through that first camp and didn't take a recruiting visit. Was that his first time in Texas? And what has his sort of adjustment been like?
Listen, he is phenomenal. I mean, and I say this without any disrespect to anybody on our team. He works his living tail off. He is a workaholic. I mean, you go over there and he's in the weight room by himself. He's kicking by himself. This guy is, it's 24/7, and he loves being here. He's a tremendous student. He's tremendous for our team. Our players love him. He's a tremendous leader. He's a great role model, and he's been absolutely awesome. And if he doesn't like it, I'd hate to see him if he does, because he is, like I say, he's ingrained in it every inch of his body and his mind.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Zach Taylor from WTAW.
Yeah, Jimbo, it seems like in this past decade or so, no matter what records each team comes in with, this game has always been a close one. In your previous stops, have you had say a rivalry that was like this, where it always seemed like the game came to a touchdown or less?
I always did. I mean, you always have one, because when you get in leagues with people like A&M and Arkansas was in a league together, sometimes all right, I got to play these guys every year, so I got to figure out how to play them. So the fear of playing or the stigma of playing, if you only play them every so often, goes away. And you get used to playing somebody. It's like somebody at the park, and you got there at the park and that guy beats your brains in every day, and he's kicking your tail, and something. I'm gonna come here and play, and I want to keep playing. So I got to figure out how to beat him. So you learn how to compete against him. You learn the guy. You learn what he does. All those types of things. And I think that's what happens here. I mean, Arkansas and A&M have played for so many years. They know each other so well, and it means a lot to the alums and everybody else that it becomes that game. And I've been almost every league I've ever been in, I've had those. I mean, NC State and Florida State was always like that. No matter what, it was always a battle. I remember when I was at LSU, Kentucky, we beat Kentucky 1 year, 2 years in a row on the last play. 1 year we won the SEC in that year. I mean, it's just, I just off the top of my head, I mean, just there's been in every one I've ever been in. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Let's go to Robert Sessa from the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Hey, Jimbo, I wanted to ask you about home field advantage in a COVID year. This is your third of 5 home games. So how important is the home field advantage during COVID, but at the same point, is it a little bit easier to win on the road because there's less fans there?
Well, here's the thing about fans. I know they bring energy, but I ain't never seen any of them get on the field. You know what I mean? So winning and losing has a lot to do with that team that's lined up on the other side. Now, you create energy in your building, you create momentum, you feel there's a comfort area, which I do think has a factor. Don't get me wrong, Robert. I believe that totally. But I still think when you play on the home field and your comforts, I think it does give you an advantage. When you go on the road, I think it's always harder. No matter if the stands are full, if they're empty, I still think it's a very tough thing to win on the road.
Hey, thanks. And could we get a follow up? Do you feel Jones and Young will play this week, Coach? Jones and Young, Hezekiah Jones and Eric Young.
Yeah, I mean, we possibly can. I mean, they're healing and doing well, and we'll see how they do in practice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Travis Brown from the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Hey, Coach. Back when y'all first got here and you moved Aaron Hansford over to the defensive side of the ball, what went into that decision? What did you see in him that you knew that could be a good switch for him?
Well, I think his size, his speed, his athleticism, the ability at linebacker now that you have to be able to run, you have to be physical, you have to be down. He had size, speed, and I can say he was a good tight end, played very well there, but he's also not 6'4", 6'5". You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be. I've had some great ones that are 6'2". And we had a great need there, and we saw his athleticism and an opportunity for him and we felt he could be a natural pass rush guy, which he does a great job in pass rush stuff also when he blitzes. So we thought he could, with his athleticism, he'd be very good at that.
And are you at all surprised at the success he's been able to have and how quickly he's been able to adapt to the position?
No, I haven't at all. I mean, he is a very, very talented young man.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to Mike Lucas from KAGS.
Hey, Coach, looking back at the bye week, you talked about, improving the team from within. What's the one thing you maybe learned most about your team from the off week or the work week, as you call it?
That they understand that there's a lot to be done. And that, even though we've had, a limited amount of success in the season we've had, they understand there's a lot of room to get better and how hard they got to work. And I think they went in the off week with that attitude.
All right, let's move to Olin Buchanan from Texags.com.
Yeah, hi, Jimbo. With this off week behind you, 2 weeks to get ready, would you think that y'all could have changes in the starting lineup?
We'll wait and see. I mean, I don't not that I can anticipate, but you never know how practice goes and what a guy does each and every week and how the game plan materializes out. If there's a matchup from a guy that we think could be put in the game to help us that way or not. I mean, I'm never going to say never on that, but we're not trying to go into replacing anybody. But at the same time, we know by our game plans and what goes on in the health of all our individuals each and every day is it could happen.
If I can ask one more, maybe I can be quicker about it this time.
That's all right.
It's just the way I talk. When you see a team like Arkansas that has so many interceptions, is that something that you bring up a lot to Kellen, or would that be counterproductive?
No, I mean, you make you aware of what they do well. Listen, these guys play the ball well. They see the ball with their eyes very well. They see the quarterback very well. They understand routes. They match routes. They do things. And you bring that. I mean, you try not, I mean, anything you do, you don't scare a guy, but you got to make him aware of what that team does, how they play, what they play, and why they're having success on the plays in which they're having that on. So, we don't have to do that, or what you do to counter, to counter that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Tyler Shaw from KBTX.
Jimbo, you've talked about how Arkansas is just an improved team. They're playing better together this year. If you look at one aspect that would be, I guess, scares you the most, or that is going to be key in order to get this victory, what would that be?
Well, I think that they're playing very hard. I mean, they're diversity on defense. They play different fronts, different coverages. Linebackers are very active, very natural football players. Morgan and those guys have been players of the week. They play the ball well on defense, create pressures offensively, very athletic, different guys across the board, all their receivers. I mean, Burks is a big guy and plays in the slot and out there. Woods, is a good player. The running backs are very good. Felipe Franks is a big, strong, athletic guy who can get the ball so vertical. I mean, he has a can. I know Felipe in high school. He grew up right there below Florida State in Tallahassee in Wakulla High School. Strong, athletic, getting him on the ground, makes a lot of plays. I mean, it's just overall and their belief that they're playing well. I mean, you have to go beat this team. This team is not going to give you anything, and you got to go play well and get better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Chip Howard from Sports Talk.
Jimbo, if I could go back to Coach Pittman a little bit, do you subscribe sometimes to the theory that a coach is right for a particular school where he may not have had success at another school? He happens to step into a situation for whatever reason it fits him.
I don't think there's any doubt of that. I think personalities of coaches to schools, to conceptually what they believe, how they believe it, and what's needed at the present time. I do think there's fits, as you say, to different jobs that work out very well. Not that other guys can't adjust and schools can't adjust, but I do think it does. And it seemed, and this one seemed to be working pretty well for Sam.
Have you thought about what some of those fits can be or what it takes?
Well, I just think your belief, the style of play, the way that school wants to play, whether it's a defensive school, an offensive school, a running school, a passing school, the way it recruits, the way it's national brand. It's not, there's zillions of reasons. That why guys that fit into jobs. That's an endless list.
Let's go to Justin Woodard from KX.
Hey, Coach, what do you want to see from the passing game here moving forward? Obviously, we saw the big production against Florida and then maybe a little inconsistent against Mississippi State. What needs to be better in the passing game, more consistency?
Well, we were inconsistent, but we still hit some big plays when we had to. We hit deep ball, got called back for a holding call that was very big. Just keep protecting, making good decisions, be accurate with the ball, and guys catching the ball and creating yards after catch, getting to where they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to be it, and doing what they need to do.
And then one quick follow-up. Is it overblown to say, during the bye week, coaches put in new wrinkles and all this type of stuff? Or do you pretty much have everything already in, or do you add new plays and stuff that you haven't gotten to?
Well, if you see something, you're always evolving. If you see something that you like, that fits what you do, that people do, that a scheme that could come out that could help you, you're not going to change drastically. And if people change, things you change for big plays, yards, sacks on defense, something that creates a package which is totally different. You're going to do what you do and what you believe in, but you're also going to look at what other people do and what you've seen on film and see if there's something there that can help you win a game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we have a couple more questions on the queue. We'll go to Chuck Carlton of the Dallas Morning News and then Gabe Bach.
Yeah, Jimbo, I was just curious what goes into, I guess, a offensive line coming together. I know you have a lot of veteran guys, but what goes into that? And as the offensive line can that be part of a team's identity, I guess, with the way that they play?
Huge part. All the great teams I've ever been a part of, that offensive line, and it's a unit that's bonded so well together and so tight, and defensive line. Those front guys, they go through a lot. And your offensive line, when you have really good football teams, you go back and research, there's skill guys all over the board, but them skill guys can function for a reason. There's big guys up front that are doing their job. And, time, I'm going to be one thing. Time is a big thing that brings line together. You got all those guys, all those calls, all the multiplicity of things that happen. Time, maturity, all that matters. And, and then I think leadership. I think guys up front who buy into everything that you got to do and the selflessness and the toughness that's got to be done there and the precision in which a lineman's got to play with, man. I mean, you can be tough and battle guys, but it's also a technique thing. It's angles, it's hat placement, it's hand placement. There's the multitude of things in all positions. It's like that, man, offensive line's hard, especially when you got to get all 5 guys on the same page. So, I mean, there's a multitude of things, but if I said 2 things, I'd say time, which is maturity, and leadership up front, and then the toughness part of things, mental and physical.
All right, let's go to Gabe Bach at Texags and then Chip Howard.
Yeah, Jimbo, you got a couple guys in the secondary that came on last game and made a few plays that hadn't played a whole lot previously this season,
yes.
Specifically Antonio Johnson and Brian Williams. What did you see from those guys, and do you see those 2 guys challenging for some more snaps?
Oh, I do. I think those guys, the more they play, the better they can get on the field, and they're going to create different roles. Looking for them very, very much so. And I thought they both, that's 2 guys you pointed out that I thought played excellent football games. You're right on target there. And they are going to have to help us in the future because they're very good football players in a lot of different ways.
All right. The last question on the queue is from Chip Howard at Sports Talk.
Jimbo, have you had a chance at all to kind of look at how the conference is going a third of the way through the season and what's going on there?
I mean, you see it and you hear it, but I don't pay attention to it. I stay in my own world, right? What's next for us, Arkansas, and then what's next after that, and what's after that. And that's the only world, because whatever happens in that conference, it's like I say, what happens on the scoreboard determines what happens you do on the field. What happens in our conference, we're going to be a part of that, but what we do on the field and how we practice, how we play. And I don't get into hypotheticals. I don't get into down the roads. I get into, as I say, be where your feet are right now. Live in the moment which you have and do the best job you can.
Alabama obviously lost one of the best players in the league over the weekend.
I did see that, yes.
You see that having an overall effect on things?
Well, I mean, yes, but I mean, I'm sure that they will adapt very easily and make a lot of play. They got other players on that team, and every team has those things happen to them. So I'm sure they'll adjust very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's add one more. Travis Brown from the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Yeah, Coach, sorry, go back one more to Hansford. When Anthony Hines opted out, was there any question that he was the next guy up? And what did he do in the fall camp to separate himself that he was going to be that next guy up?
Well, he was battling very well with Anthony. Like I said, we felt we had a lot of guys there that can play and was very happy with him playing and felt very comfortable with him playing. If something happened with Anthony, and also rotating with Anthony, because I mean we kind of develop depth. So we knew we had to get through a 10-game season, and his emergence in the off season been very good, and we're very pleased with his progress.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's all the questions I have for you, Coach. Thanks.
All right, guys, y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Jimbo.
Thank you.
Thanks.